What's up guys, Joe Parfanuk here and welcome to my YouTube channel. So today we have a very special interview with my friend Concetta. She has been a member of my private Discord community and her sales have been taking off like a rocket ship. She's done over 100K in sales in her first few months. She is doing around 30 to 40K in sales per month, and this did not happen overnight. So we're gonna touch on all the beginner mistakes that she made and what it really took to get to the point where she is now and what it's going to take for her to get to 100K a month. And I have no doubt in my mind with how hard she works, she will get there. With that being said, let's get into the interview. And as always, if you got value, please drop a like and subscribe. Thank you guys. Let's get into it. All right, what's up guys? Welcome to the interview. We have a very special guest today. Her name is Concetta. So she's just crossed the six-figure revenue mark in her first 4 or 5 months.
Yes.
Yeah, so crushing it. Amazing success so far. So let's dive into your story. I know you quit your 9-to-5 in March, and that was really before you were seeing any traction with Amazon. So what were you doing before that, and then what made you just decide to be spontaneous and just go for it?
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, I quit my 9-to-5 before I even started my Amazon store. So that was crazy. But I knew for a fact that I didn't want to stay at that job anymore. And I was a project manager for a software company. And I don't know, I just knew that I wanted to step back into entrepreneurship. This is my second time as an entrepreneur. And I just knew that I wanted to, just hit the ground running. And I felt like Amazon FBA was the perfect opportunity for me to do that. I did have some experience reselling in the past, but it was more so like OfferUp, Facebook Marketplace. It was more like a side hustle. I never really took it serious like that. So yeah, when I started Amazon, I just decided to just hit the ground running. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, props. That's like very inspirational because I did something very similar where, I was in college, just not happy with my situation, and I just made the leap. But, it takes a lot of guts to do that. So I always respect people who do that.
Thank you.
So what was the other thing you were doing before entrepreneurship? Or no, you said you had one entrepreneurship thing before. What was that?
Yeah, it was real estate. I was a real estate agent.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I was doing those two things at the same time. For one point, I was a project manager for a software company, and then I was a real estate agent part-time.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty easy to easier than people think to get your real estate license. I almost went through with it, but all it's is like one little course, and then you're certified and you could start being an agent. So
absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So for someone who's working a 9-to-5 right now and miserable and wants to go full time with Amazon, what's like a plan of action that you'd give them?
Don't quit your job. I know that's what I did, but I would not suggest you do that unless you just have a lot of capital and you can support yourself financially and put aside, several $1,000s to kind of get your business started and not see any return on investment on that couple of $1,000s for a couple of months. Because honestly, I had enough money set aside to take care of myself, obviously, or I would not have been confident enough to take that leap. But I didn't start to see profits until about my 3rd month doing Amazon. So and I put a lot of money in up front. I just came in with that abundance mindset that I'm just going to, buy as much inventory as I can up front and see what happens. So my advice for someone who wants to quit their 9-to-5 and start an Amazon FBA business would be to start saving your money. Get yourself prepared for what you're going into. So if you don't have any credit cards yet, start researching credit cards, maybe 0% APR cards. Don't apply for one until you're actually ready to start your Amazon business, because you are on the clock after you get the card. It's a 12-month. Typically, it's 12 months that you have that 0% APR. Start doing research, YouTube University. Just consume as much Amazon FBA content as you can while you're in that phase of just saving money, but also don't get paralyzed in just the research and the saving phase, because honestly, you can start with $500 if you have it. You can start with $1,000. Like, don't think that you have to reach a destination before you start. It's like $39 to get your Amazon seller account, $39 a month. Get the systems that you need, Be Cool, SellerAmp, seller board. I believe all of them is like $100 a month. So just get all of your systems and start in the clearance aisle or start doing a little OA, and just kind of get yourself experienced, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Take it at your own pace is one of the big things I got from that.
Yeah.
If you're at 500 to 1,000, go to the Nike outlet, start scanning stuff. Just like open yourself to the game. Like, you got to put yourself in the field rather than just paralyzing yourself with YouTube videos of people doing what you want to do. It's just
Oh
gonna.
my gosh, yes.
You could
I
spend
think
it.
that I was paralyzed for years. I was paralyzed for years, and you can get stuck in just consuming the content. So like Joe said, just get yourself out there. And I know it's so hard to do it because it's outside of your comfort zone. But I assure you, once you make that a habit of being outside of your comfort zone, one day it'll just be second nature to you.
100%. Yeah. So, what would you say is your number one contributing factor to your fast-paced growth? I know you're at like 40K revenue, or you hit 40K revenue in your third month. Now you're kind of hovering around like 30, 40K a month.
Yes. So yes, I hit 43K in my third month selling. And now I'm consistent at about 35 to 40K a month. I'm trying to scale a little bit, but I would say it's mindset. It's mindset. Stay in your own lane. You can look at other people's charts and pull inspiration from other people. Like, one thing that I did in the beginning is I would save other people's stores. So when I was doing my storefront stalking, I had a vision of what I wanted my store to look like, right? So I know a lot of people will tell you, don't niche down, just try to sell as much as you can. And while that is cool in the beginning because you're just trying to get ungated, you're just trying to sell something, anything, right? But once you know what you're doing, niche down, focus on one thing. If you try to sell everything, you will be like so paralyzed. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do it. I can't figure out the BSRs with this category or that category. Like, that's just how I was. And I just decided to niche down. Another thing I would say is make mistakes quickly. I made mistakes really fast and I learned from them really fast. Also, because I didn't have a job anymore, it was like, this has to work, so it was like my back was up against the wall type of thing. Like, this has no other choice but to work. There is no plan B. This is plan B. So whenever I would fail, I would just get creative and just find little creative ways to, run it up.
Yeah, no, I love the burn the boat strategy, though. I mean, I'll always say I love that stuff, just going all in with it. But I'm sure it took a lot of trial and error in the beginning. You said you spent a lot of money and you weren't really profitable until the third month. So I'm guessing there were some mistakes in there, break even inventory, but you put yourself trial through fire. So what's like the biggest mistake you probably made in those first 3 months that
Oh
cost
my
you?
gosh. Going too deep and not wide enough. So a lot of people ask me, how much money do you need to start out with? I put about 10K into my business checking account, and I just continue to recycle my profits through. But I have been using one business credit card on my 0% APR, and I just kind of been running it up with that card. But I feel like when I came in, I had the mentality of, I kind of know what a good keeper chart looks like. Let me just run it up. Okay, I sent my test buy in, I sold out. Let me go to every Target and buy every single one of that item that sold out. And by the time I get all of that new inventory in, it tanked. So going too deep and not wide enough, just in my mind, I just kept thinking, I kept accidentally thinking that I found a good product too soon. So your first month, I would say put about $500 in and watch what happens with those keepers. Study those keepers as much as you can. Pay attention to trends and what happens. Try to understand the supply and demand curve. You just have to learn what you're doing first. You don't know what you're doing. You're going to make a lot of dumb buying decisions. So don't go too deep. Don't spend a bunch of money like I did. I broke even. I lost a little bit in the beginning, but I learned so much. So don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to make mistakes, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And don't give up.
Yeah. I think the worst thing that can happen is that you break even for the most part. And as long as you're putting in the work and you're not just making reckless decisions, like the worst thing that can happen, like you were talking about the Target thing, I could have told you probably that wouldn't last a month or two because it's from Target. You just got to evaluate the source of where you're buying from as well, because like a Walmart listing or a Target listing might not last as long. Whereas if you buy it from like a smaller niche store that a lot of people don't really know, and I'm sure that's more of what you expanded into now, is why you're not really having those issues anymore.
Right. Absolutely. I completely agree with you there.
Yeah. So what do you think is the biggest bottleneck that's holding you back to, let's say, 100K a month?
I would say just delegating. I need to get a VA. I got a prep center very early. I had a prep center my second month. I didn't utilize it that much during my second month because I had another emergency that was going on with some discounted gift cards that I lost some money on. But I got a prep center very early. Like a lot of other people, I hired the wrong prep center as my first prep center. But definitely, I need to get a VA. A lot of my time is tied up with sourcing and prepping because I am doing more of a hybrid model between OA and RA. So I'm prepping my RA inventory because I have not actually sat down and looked for a prep center in my area that can handle my RA for me. They're harder to find for RA for some reason. But yeah, just delegating and, putting some of my workload onto someone else, and increasing my spend. So I feel like, like I said before, once you get into a niche that you're good at, and you master it, I feel really good with the niche that I'm in. Now it's time for me to get creative and find something new, right? Because I feel like we get so stuck, we get comfortable, like this is good, this is working for me. Yeah, it's working for me at the 40K range where I'm at, but if I'm trying to get to 80K or 100K, I might have to branch off into something that I might not be as comfortable in. So it's just a constant flow of getting out of your comfort zone and trying new things.
Yeah, I agree. I do like how you said earlier about just like niching down on one or two max in the beginning, though, and then you can start to expand. I mean, my store is mainly beauty, household, like kitchen, stuff like that. So it's all related. But yeah, so it's three categories that make up 100K a month, but one might not fully make 100K. I mean, in beauty, I feel like you can, but you got to really become very good at sourcing to be a whole store at 100K.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. And for the RA thing, so kind of segues into the next question. So you're doing a mix of both. So for someone who's just starting out and wants to try RA, let's say they have $500 to $1,000 to invest, where would you tell them to start, and what's some tips you could give them?
Let's see. I would say start in Walmart. I don't think that you're going to end in Walmart, but that is where you should start because I don't know. I feel like you go into Walmart, you can walk down the aisle, scan everything, look at, because RA is a little bit different and it's a bit of a learning curve because you're on your phone and all you have is your little device, right? So you don't have your computer, you can't check everything. So pay attention to the screens that you're using when you're at home on your computer, and pay attention to the screens that you have access to or that you're using when you're in the store on your phone, because over time you're gonna scan something RA and you're gonna go directly to those one or two places and say, is this a good buy? Still make test buys when you're doing RA. right?
Mhm.
Because once you get home and you look at the charts and you study and you say, damn, this wasn't a good buy at all. Now you know not to go back and get any more of those. You don't want to replenish it. But if it was a good buy, once you get home and you evaluate what you purchased, then you just repeat, right? It's a lot of inventory that you can replenish during doing RA. So I would say start with one store and set your standards a little bit lower than where you desire to be, and then slowly progress, because the reality is a lot of inventory for Walmart tanks. So unless you're FBMing it and moving it real fast, it's probably going to tank by the time it gets in. So, but starting with Walmart will at least give you an idea of what you're looking for.
Yeah.
If you're super new to RA and you don't know which screens to look at, get your Keepa mobile app. I use that every single day when I'm doing RA. SellerAmp and Keepa are the only two apps that I toggle through when I'm in the stores.
Did you ever join any like Bolo group for RA? Or
Yes, I'm in one right now for Q4.
I think that's a very good thing for retail arbitrage, because I did a little bit of it in the first few months. I was doing like 30, 40K a month. There was a bunch of stuff that was like, have a shortage of inventory and like hard to find anywhere. But you can look at the stock on like BrickSeek, stuff like that. You can kind of see if there's anything in stock. So that's like a good place to start too for a beginner, because you're getting the lead already. Let's say you invest $100 a month for the Bolo group. And if you find one or two good leads, that'll pay for 3x the cost of, probably multiples the cost of the membership. So that's what I was doing. There was like these Nauzine. This was like an example of one of those like kids things that were doing really well.
Yeah.
You just go to Walgreens, Walmart, everywhere they had them, but nowhere to be found online. So one thing that a beginner could have done, if you got the ASIN for them, they could have just got an idea. What's a good product,
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And the best advice I can give about a Bolo group is don't just use whatever Bolo you see. Like if you see a Lego toy set at Walmart in the Bolo group and you go and grab it, scan everything else in that store, in that aisle. Scan everything else. Or if it's a TJ Maxx or Target, I get a lot of those in my Bolo group. Scan everything else in that section. If it's a journal in Home Goods, they have a lot of journals that do really well. Scan all of the journals there. Don't just look for that one journal. So you kind of have to get a little bit creative.
Yeah.
But I will always say, find one store, master that store. If it's not a good store, move around and go to another store. And once you find a good store and you're paying attention to your seller board or your inventory lab, ASIN profitability, or I believe Inventory Lab has the store profitability report as well. The supplier profitability, whatever it's called. But yeah, pay attention to what stores have the best profits for you. And honestly, just keep repeating what works. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Thanks.
Definitely. Yeah, so I know you're doing a lot of merchant fulfilling. I could see from like your Instagram posts and stuff like that, there's like piles of products going out. So what's going to be your strategy Q4? You're going to be doing a lot of FBM. What's going to be like cutoff time, stuff like that you're going to be implementing for some people who are in Q4 right now?
Absolutely. So the same thing that I did for back to school, it worked for me then. I'm sure it's going to work for me again. 0-day handling time. I do up to 150. I know this is crazy, but up to 150 orders a day. I've never gotten that many.
You might in December.
I've never gotten that many, but as soon as I saw Amazon sent an email like, hey, you reached your limit of orders, I'm like, increase that all the way up. So increase your order limits in your settings.
It's your handling capacity, right? Yeah.
Yes. Make sure you have a good handling capacity. Of course, don't overwork yourself. Like if you can't
don't do 300.
Yeah,
you don't have anyone helping you.
Then you'll mess up your account health if you can't fulfill all of those orders. So obviously do what you can handle, but what else? 0-day handling time. I have my hours of operations to include Saturday as a day of the week. So you will be surprised how many extra orders you get just because Saturday is included in your Monday through Friday. So just play with your settings to make sure that you're in the best position to get the buy box. I also sometimes will offer free economy shipping if it makes sense for me. So if the weight is like super light, I'll offer free economy shipping. A lot of times that's like $4 or less. So if you just include it in your price, just increase your price a couple of dollars, little tricks to the trade to get the buy box faster. But it works.
Yeah, I have this one that like I removed the economy and it's only standard, so it allows you to do
Oh,
like 2 to 3 day shipping. So if you're doing something that's super small and light, that's the only way it works. Otherwise, you're gonna probably lose money. But if you're
exactly.
paying $4 a label, it will get you the buy box a lot faster because you can't go like 5 to 8 days on or you can't go 2 to 3 on free economy.
Right.
You can with the standard one. So I was doing like free standard shipping, which I know is like people won't usually pay for that, but it would impact the buy box a lot. So
It does. It does. And I did that for back to school too. I'm doing free economy right now, and people are cool with just the free economy. I'm not offering free standard. But no, it is definitely a little trick, a little hack to get the buy box, to manipulate the buy box faster, and also including Saturday as one of your days of the week in 0 day handling time. I never change my cutoff time. Mine is just whatever Amazon defaults it to.
interesting. So for someone who might not be seeing huge revenue numbers yet, hopefully your growth inspires them. But what's one piece of advice you'd give them if they're kind of struggling to see those big numbers yet?
Um, if you're struggling to see the bigger numbers, I would say two things. You have to spend more to make more. If you want your revenue numbers to go up, you're going to have to spend more, right? So maybe increase your credit limit with your bank. I know with Amex, it's like every 3 months you can request a credit line increase, or just get another 0% APR card. But you just need to have more, a little bit more purchasing power. I would say in August, I stopped caring about how much I was spending, right? I was just like, listen, I'm just going to spend it all. I'm going to max the card out. um, don't do that.
Not for beginner advice.
Don't do that. Don't take all of my advice, but use your best judgment, obviously, because there is a little bit of a delay with getting your payment from Amazon. But yeah, just if you're on a 0% APR card, then you have a little bit of wiggle room. You can make a payment. You just probably can't pay it all in full. But yeah.
Yeah, I've almost been treating my no APR card like a plum. So like I'll pay half of the balance and then half the
Yeah.
balance. So yeah, I don't want to see sitting on like a $60,000 balance.
Oh my
Not
God.
a good thing to be doing. But if you do it like that, where you're kind of cycling it, let's say you pay 30K now, 30K later, or something like that. Probably you're doing smaller numbers. Let's say 5K there, 5K the second month. So you don't get into over your head with debt. So definitely have like some kind of structure to pay it off. Don't just think
Absolutely.
it's a free loan,
Of course, because every single time I receive a payment from Amazon, I pay my credit card just because I don't want my credit card to, just go crazy. I believe I looked at one of your other interviews and he was saying how, he's having a hard time keeping up because now he has more available credit at his disposal. I'm the type of person, I learn from my own mistakes and I learn from other people's mistakes too. So yeah, just always make sure you're being responsible with credit. You don't want to have cash flow problems or anything can happen. This is a risky business that we're in, but I always pay my credit cards. I always max them out too.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, so I guess we'll wrap it up here, but end it on a good note. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Where can they find you?
I am on Instagram as XOXO Concetta, and I am on Twitter as Concetta FBA.
Okay. All right. I'll link both of them in the description so they can go ahead and give you a follow. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on, and thank you guys for watching. Have a great one.
Thank you, Joe.